Ang ginamit ko ditong pelikula to illustrate the 12 elements ay yung pelikulang kwento ko kanina, 2 Days and 1 Night with Sandra. Okay, so kung i-formulate natin yung premise, meron siyang 12 na bahagi or elements. We hope na lahat ng 12 na elements na to nandun sa detailed na story concept, detailed na premise or story concept. Okay, baka may kailangan magbasa para dun sa mga kasamahan natin na sino pwede magbasa?
Pana lang po, Sir Ricky. Premise checklist. It is important that both the premise and the protagonist are believable, and that the conflict in the premise is sustainable, and that the narrative choices as to tone, genre, and so on have been accomplished.
So there are 12 elements in the premise, Shans.
This can also serve as an X-ray template to troubleshoot the premise and the story. Number 1, the protagonist, a female factory worker. Number
Sa and One Night, sino ang protagonist nyo? Yung female factory worker. So lahat ng kwento nyo kanina, kailangan may malinaw na protagonist. Pwedeng yung teacher, pwedeng hindi yung teacher. Okay? And then yung protagonist na yun, merong number 2.
Number 2, the adjective, nervous, mababa ang tingin sa sarili, walang confidence.
So yung protagonist nyo, laging meron tayong description ng klase ng pagkatao niya. Kung hindi natin siya makikilala. Ikalawa, yung pagkatao niya, usually ang humaharang sa gusto niyang gawin. So, pag diniscard mo yung kwento, mayroong adjective. Isang nervyosa, mababa ang tingin sa sarili, na walang confidence, na female factory worker. Or isang reclusive na guy, si Carl Sapp, isang reclusive na ayaw ng mga tao, na bitter old man. So, laging merong adjective bago yung protagonist. And that adjective summarizes kung ano yung tao sa loob na problema ng character. Kaya lalo niyang hindi makukuha ang goal niya kasi wala siyang confidence dito in this case. Okay, so you need a protagonist and you need the adjective before the protagonist. And then after that, something happens.
The inciting incident, matatanggal sa trabaho but is given a choice.
That's Sandra in 2 days.
Kasinungalingan sa sarili, misbelief, real need na matutunan, believe na kailangan niya ang work, na she is nothing, at hindi mahal ng kanyang mga kapwa worker.
And then after that, the incident, si Sandra has to make a decision, respond, and course of action is Sandra.
Okay, decision course of action for number 5, embarks on a weekend na makikiusap sa mga katrabaho.
It's situated in a story world. May kinalalagyan si Sandra o yung mga characters nyo. In this case, yung klase ng mundo.
Okay, so for number 6, klase ng mundo, in a capitalistic world where she sees the conditions of her co-workers as she sees herself too. And then going to number 7, mga antagonists sa mundong ito, the manager and the capitalist system. Number 8, primary relationship sa mundong ito, her co-workers. And then number 9, consequences, crisis, which is yung matatalo. And then number 10, realization of his need, but realizes na hindi yung work ang kailangan niya. Mas kailangan niya to see who she is, stand for what she is. Number 11, making him take correct decision and action. She rejects the new offer. Number 12, leading to his final identity. Leading to the final point of the story, she finds solidarity with the workers. She's free, she's real self, she's more confident now.
But my point is, yung 12 elements na yun, pag sinummarize ko ngayon into a story concept, it will go something like, may isang factory worker, si Sandra, na walang confidence sa sarili at mababa ang tingin niya zero siya as a factory worker, na matatanggal sa trabaho sa isang capitalistic system na ang tingin sa worker ay cog lang in a wheel at kaya nilang magpatuloy nang wala siya, na binigyan ng chance na mabalik sa trabaho kung papayag siya makiusap sa lahat at papayag ang iba na matanggalan ng bonus nila. Kaya ang ginawa niya, nakiusap siya sa lahat sa kanila maski wala siyang confidence. At habang nakikiusap siya, nakikita niya lalo yung mundong yun where ang mga workers pala ay kapareho niya na inaapi pero may karapatan din palang magdesisyon at parang sarili niya. Kaya in the end, nang malaman niyang hindi pa rin siya matatanggap sa trabaho dahil hindi enough yung naging boto sa kanya ng mga co-workers niya, hindi siya nagdamdam na hindi siya binoto ng iba kasi naintindihan niya yung plight ng ibang workers na kapareho niya. Kaya inaccept niya yung fact na hindi siya naboto ng lahat dahil nakilala na niya ang sarili niya. Kaya nang inalok siya ng manager na ibabalik sa trabaho kung matatanggal ang co-workers niya, ni-reject niya yung offer na yun kasi may confidence na sa sarili niya, kilala niya na ang sarili niya bilang isang worker, may solidarity na siya sa iba, and she's now free. So that's the story concept summarized by the 12 elements. So one checklist para sa story concept niyo is to see if nandun yung 12 elements. Mahalaga yung mundo. Hindi ko na-discuss kanina yung mundo kasi yun yung topic natin, but mahalaga yung mundo na kinalalagyan ng kwento. And sa sinabi ko yung kanina, that's worth what? A paragraph or so. So many sentences lang. But that's a summary of the detailed premise or the story concept. And so kung yun yung story concept nyo, madali-dali siyang ma-develop into storyline or flesh out into a script kasi nandun na yung pundasyon. Kung kompleto yung pundasyon nyo, hindi kayo less kayong mahirapan pag flesh out later. Pag hindi ito kompleto, later pa nyo pinupunuan, magkakawala-wala kayo, hindi nyo sure anong kulang, saan kulang, ba't ganito, ba't kulang, etc. Mas mahirap magsulat. Pero kung sa first step pa lang, nagawa nyo ng parang hangga't maaari na nandito lahat yung elemento, then it might make the job of writing a little less difficult, a little more easier man lang. So it's one way, it's a tool. You can use it or you can decide not to use it, but if you use it, then it may make things easier.